Good evening. I said good evening. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Good evening. There we go. Before I go any further, I do want to make sure that I say that my prayers and support are with the residents in Florida tonight as they begin to grapple with the destruction delivered by Hurricane Ian, and to any Floridian scholars, alumni, or any potential scholars and families whose communities have been impacted by the storm. We're certainly thinking of you this evening. Can we thank Mr. Andrews and the dining room staff one more time for their excellent hospitality and this food? Thank you. That food was good, y'all. Before I begin sharing with you all that which has been put on my heart to say tonight, I first want to thank the Morehead-Cain Foundation for inviting me to speak tonight at this banquet, and for the entire Morehead-Cain team's tireless efforts to make the scholar experience one that is enriching, motivating, and rewarding. I also want to take a brief moment to acknowledge and thank my parents who are here with us tonight, and without whom I would most certainly not be standing here before you. In my experience, those at the foundation work hard to emphasize the reality that it is difficult to operate successfully in college and in life without a strong and supportive community, a family. And I just want to appreciate my parents for being the first people to model for me what genuine love and support look like. Also, before I dive into my main points, I definitely want to shout out Mr. Jackson Miller. I know he's in here somewhere, and thank him among the few other scholars who had my back and joined me in getting up early, waiting in the student line pregame, and then standing on the front row of the student section last weekend during UNC football's unfortunate loss to that team in Navy and Gold, which shall remain nameless. But thank you all for your support there. You know, when members of the advising team first approached me to speak tonight, my first words after saying thank you for having me, I'd be honored, were, how long do I have? Because anybody who knows me knows I love to talk. Well, Montez said I had about 10 minutes, so my first thought in crafting my speech for tonight was, oh, perfect, I can make 10 points, use about a minute for each point, and then head on back to my seat. But ain't nobody remembering 10 takeaways from a speech tonight, so I halved it into 5 to help you and me get out of here on time. In all seriousness, though, last night I had the honor of participating in the UNC annual Black Alumni Reunion, or BAR for short, Student Alumni Networking Dinner, the kickoff event for this year's BAR weekend, which ends on Sunday morning with a breakfast addressing the racial climate here at Carolina. I was pleased to see a good number of our black scholars there last night, and grateful to see the Morehead-Cain Foundation serving as one of the event's campus partners. The dinner allows current black students from different black campus communities to network and receive advice from Black Carolina alumni. And the dinner always ends with the recognition of one black senior student whose values and work ethic while here at Carolina most closely reflect those of Harvey Beach, the first black graduate of this university, graduating from Carolina School of Law in 1952, and on whose shoulders I stand. At last night's event, we were privileged to listen to some of the wise reflections of and advice from Miss Edith Hubbard, the second black woman to attend and graduate from UNC, where she did so in 1966. Though I don't have time to restate everything Miss Hubbard told us in that room last night, I do want to share one particularly poignant quote for us to consider. After speaking about the hardship and ridicule she endured throughout her time at UNC, including being told by professors on the first day of her classes that she would fail their classes because of her skin color, and being avoided by white students inside buildings and out when she was simply trying to walk around campus, Ms. Hubbard explained that she persevered and stayed at Carolina because of her adamance about obtaining a college degree. She said, "My philosophy in life is this: if you aren't willing to call out injustice and do your part to work for what's right, then I shouldn't hear you complaining about what's wrong." She went on to work in the university's Office of the Vice Chancellor for Research and continued to break down barriers for educational access for all students, especially those of color. Okay, Montez, my 10 minutes is starting now. I think if I had to title my short speech tonight, I would name it Prepare for Possibility. That's what Ms. Hubbard was doing when she was here in the face of bigotry and hatred and spite she received. She was preparing herself not only for the historic possibility of graduating from this university, but for all that she could accomplish once that degree was in her hand. Last week during the senior scholar meeting, Julie Weary shared with the seniors gathered there a quote she often offers up in advising sessions when people find themselves faced with making a decision given a multitude of options or even general uncertainty about the future, and that is that we can often fall victim to the paralysis of possibility. When I first heard this from Julie, I was immediately thrown back to my decision to choose Carolina and choose this scholarship program. Upon arriving at UNC, even after attending a relatively large public high school in Raleigh, North Carolina, I quickly became overwhelmed by the possibilities. The numerous clubs and the multitude of course offerings and the intense history and focus on athletic success felt like a lot, especially after telling myself throughout the college application process that what I was looking for in a college was a small to medium-sized school. However, as Ray Sawyer from the class of 2013 says often, life is all about relationships. Building relationships with scholar and staff at the Morehead-Cain Foundation allowed me to not only minimize the possibilities that at first seemed so overwhelming, but view those possibilities here at Carolina as opportunities. The advising team working with me to come up with questions that motivated me to find my places, my homes here on campus. I found that forming relationships and asking for help from those already established in various clubs and initiatives appealing to students on campus and nearby communities off campus allowed me to start crafting the ways I could verbalize my passions, strengthen them by collaborating with others that had similar interests, and use them to make a positive impact on the people with whom I find myself interacting. That leads me to the first of my 5 points for tonight. Point number 1, don't neglect your passions in pursuit of your purpose. I think too often we as a people become so concerned with seeking our purpose in life and achieving said purpose that we fail to live with purpose, passing up critical moments to learn from those around us and have conversations that may spark in us a new way of engaging with our passions. Not only can we become so purpose-driven that we neglect or restrain our passions, it is very easy to fail to identify and harness the power that's held in passion. Well, what are passions? Anyway, passions can be emotions, they can be groups, they can be sports, they can be art. Really, you can be passionate about anything. To me, though, what's different about passion is that for one reason or another, you are compelled to act when that passion is stimulated. More often than not, our passions are centered around people. Whether that person is yourself or others, it's likely that people are driving your passions. Think about it. Passionate about your favorite sport, it can't happen without competition. Serving somehow in a specific community, you can't serve if there's no one around to receive your service. Even drawing, dancing, painting, singing, learning more about the outdoors, we come into contact with every day. I'd bet engaging in any of those things bring you some sort of intellectual stimulation or puts you at peace. Those are passions each centered around us as people. Again, passions don't always have to revolve around serving others or going so far to the extent that you overwork or neglect yourself. Your passion could very well be something that makes you feel good inside, that pumps you up, that places you at peace. My passions do this. Purpose, without seeking to identify and understanding passions, are pointless. It is often said that in considering the header on our tombstones, our lives will boil down to 2 dates and a dash. My question to you tonight is this: what will you do with your dash to hone your passions as you travel toward your purpose? What will people remember about you? How will you pursue people and make them feel seen, feel heard, valued? Or will you get so distracted by seeking your life's single purpose that you forget to pause along the way and act in a way that holds true to your passions? We don't even have to think about that abstractly, though, or morbidly in terms of the tombstone. What would those who knew you or know you say about you tomorrow if they were asked? In 2 years? In 10? Would they respond positively? How are you, as my parents and other mentors in my life often say, doing the best you can with what you've got? As you think about these questions, here comes point number 2. Always act with authenticity. In considering my passions in my time, which seems to be quickly expiring here at Carolina, I've found that being genuine in everything you do is a valuable trait, but a rare one. That's something I admire about many Morehead-Cain scholars. Last year, I had the opportunity to work on a historic student body president election and in an administration here alongside many scholars in this room, as I desired to do all I could and still can to make this university more equitable, accessible, affordable, and safe. I see Karthik nodding along here. Those are actually words from a LinkedIn post that he made about the administration. As he headed up communications, he told me before I came up here to speak, Greear, say something good. I want a moment to shout. Well, that was your moment. Those were your words. But it's true, that administration, there you go. That administration was adamant about always staking their claims in compassion and justice. I mentioned that I've been able to work directly with fellow scholars on bettering our campus community, and I unfortunately don't have time to name every scholar that has positively impacted me throughout my 3 years so far at Carolina, or who I maybe hopefully offered a helpful tip to myself, but I encourage you all, especially junior and senior scholars here tonight, to think about a moment a current scholar student or Morehead-Cain alumni left a mark on your life. Whether or not you worked together on a project or initiative, consulted them for advice as you think about life after Carolina, or spontaneously reached out to a fellow scholar after realizing or remembering that you have similar passions, the Morehead-Cain family is full of authentic people and opportunities for connection and progress, rooted in fellow people. My third point tonight is a spinoff of the fourth Morehead-Cain Foundation aspiration for us as scholars, and as she'll tell you, it is Julie DeVoe's favorite one: champion the journey. I want to reframe it for you tonight in the context of my theme and encourage you to specifically cherish life's challenges. Cherish life's challenges. Now, I'm not one to advocate maintaining a hold on trauma or harboring hardship longer than necessary, because I know that each of our journeys include much more than the challenges we come across. But part of building confidence in our ability to overcome the obstacles we encounter includes first stumbling across those very obstacles. One of my biggest challenges since arriving at UNC occurred in the fall semester of 2020, in October of that year to be exact. Some others in my class may also resonate with this challenging period, especially for those of us that started college in person and dealt with the back and forth of coming back to school in early fall 2020. For me, October became the peak burnout month of 2020. After a long summer feeling in one moment as though I was overextending myself, and in the very next as if I wasn't doing nearly enough, both in school and in my hometown community, I was feeling drained. On top of everything, I had been looking forward to that being class of 2023's civic collaboration summer, and I was excited about my group's proposed project. In reflecting on that time, I think about Black Jamaican woman author and attorney Anne Monique Bailey's book, Paralyzed by Perfection, which has the subtitle, Made by Mistakes. There were certainly times throughout summer 2020 in which I wish I had made some different decisions, or had decisions to make in the first place. But then I thought about what the Morehead-Cain Foundation says about character, one of its 4 key pillars impressed upon scholars from the start of the application cycle to today. Quoting from our website, "The experience is as important as the outcome." That has certainly been true for me, because I wouldn't trade the experience I gained in organizing and protesting for police accountability, delving deep into policy discussions in the hope of closing the average lifespan gap between white Americans and those of us of color, listening to the stories of mothers and children impacted by gun violence, police brutality, and the continued effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, for anything. I had the pleasure of reflecting on that summer with Sarah on the Foundation's Catalyze podcast in late 2020, and then tuned back into the podcast in 2021 to hear Judge Karen Stevenson, class of 1979, the first African-American woman to receive the Morehead-Cain Scholarship, and also from the United States, and also to receive the Rhodes Scholarship. She summed this idea up perfectly of cherishing your challenges on Catalyze. No one can tell you what your path should be. Cherish the challenges and thank the rocky road for at least offering you a direction in which to travel. My fourth point tonight that I want to share with you all is just this: be mesmerized by the moment. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines mesmerization as a state in which our complete attention is held by something, anything. I think we all know what big moments feel like. It's part of why we're in this room tonight, for one. But each moment, big or small, are those on which I want to take a moment to focus. Grabbing coffee with a friend, having a mentoring session with a scholar alum, learning a new skill. Lean into each of these moments and try and minimize the distractions, because these moments won't last forever. One of these moments for me recently came in the form of 2 new skills, teaching and Taekwondo. Last year, I started spending my free time in Durham with Sidekicks Academy, a martial arts and character education program targeted toward elementary school students in 2 Durham public schools. Not only did I graciously get the opportunity to serve as one of the program's mentors, I took advantage of the opportunity to learn Taekwondo myself, lending my credibility for when I go to these schools and do my best to teach it to others. This opportunity with Sidekicks Academy is something that on its face appeared or may appear as though I pursued it independently, but in actuality, I committed to this program only after being encouraged by Morehead-Cain advisors and other foundation team members to stay active in the surrounding community, but pursue something unique, something different for me, as they understood that my main passion will always be people themselves, and especially interacting with society's youngest rising leaders. I never, ever, in my wildest dreams, however, imagined that I would be a senior in college learning and teaching Taekwondo. I'm doing it because I'm mesmerized by this current moment. Don't miss your chance to become mesmerized by moments you never saw coming. The fifth and last point I want to convey to you tonight is the shortest one, and also the unofficial title of my speech: Prepare for Possibility. Not only the possibility to make a huge impact, as my Kenyan mentor and coworker from this past summer in Nairobi candidly told me toward the end of my Global Perspective project, big is great, Greear, but it's nearly always impossible. I think here we can note the fact that language matters. I think my coworker is right. Reframing our goals and dreams from big to meaningful is perhaps where we should focus. While in Kenya, I had the opportunity to work with the nonprofit connected to UNC, determined to improve educational and health outcomes for people living in some of the African continent's poorest townships. Most of what I did was listen, collect qualitative data, and offer my support and ideas for positive change when asked by local youth, our primary focus group. While in the end, I was able to take all I learned, working with an amazing group of education and health experts, and craft a holistic youth leadership curriculum, what might not sound or look meaningful to others might actually be changing your life, or more significantly, the lives of those you are seeking to serve. We also know that in communities that have been historically overlooked or silenced, both here in North Carolina, America, and around the globe, certain meaningful successes may not make big waves publicly. And that's okay, because as we journey through this thing called life, being flexible, not taking credit, and setting ourselves up for any opportunity that may come our way, especially those we haven't yet considered, that's what really matters. Being a part of the Morehead-Cain community has offered me the ability to connect people, ideas, and most importantly, solutions in a way that allows me to see the bigger picture of what I like to call the 3 E's. Education, the first, leading to empowerment, the second, which provides the basis for equity, the third. Morehead-Cain has prepared me for what's possible, and with those possibilities comes the responsibility to prepare. Throughout my time at Carolina, when the going gets tough and I find myself frustrated that something I've worked hard for or towards doesn't go as planned, or imposter syndrome begins to sneak up again, or any myriad of trouble starts to arise, I find myself reading and reflecting on this poem written by Mother Teresa, and which a lot of you may have heard before. My dad and I have even sent it back and forth to one another a couple of times over these past few years as a reminder of the hope and personal passions we each are entitled to. It's called Anyway, and it simply reads, "People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of being selfish, of having ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they might be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget about tomorrow, but you should do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway." You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God, you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. So tonight, as I close and look out across this room full of friends and learners and leaders, I'm excited for each of your futures, from my fellow senior scholars to those of you just embarking on your Morehead-Cain and Carolina journey, to the second and third year scholars in between, working every day to navigate what life throws your way. Know that you are uniquely poised to pursue your passions and prioritize people. Don't just simply strive toward a singular purpose without pausing to ask yourself what it is driving you toward that purpose. Act with authenticity always. Cherish life's challenges, the little sister of Champion the Journey. Be mesmerized by the moment, big or small, and finally, prepare for possibility. Thank you.